Welcome to Iraqi Dinar Update, your go-to source for the latest news, expert insights, and real-time developments on Iraq's currency, economy, and financial reforms. Whether you're a long-time investor or just curious about the dinar, you're in the right place. Dr. Mudha Mohammed Saleh, the respected financial advisor to the Iraqi government, recently appeared on national television to make a bold and optimistic statement that Iraq is now fully qualified to become the regional financial center of the Middle East. This assertion is not made lightly. It represents decades of struggle, reform, and progress. To the untrained eye, this may sound like a political soundbite, but it reveals much more beneath the surface. It signals a historic turning point in Iraq's trajectory, from being a conflict-ridden nation to becoming a leader in financial services and economic direction for its neighbors. However, this declaration didn't go unnoticed by those who have been following Iraq's currency issues, monetary reform, and regional status for years. Analysts like Frank responded with a blend of praise and skepticism, particularly highlighting the contradiction between the claim of regional financial leadership and Iraq's current exchange rate of 1,310 Iraqi dinars to the US dollar. Frank's reaction encapsulates the sentiment of many who understand the nuance of Iraq's economic reality. On one hand, he acknowledges the significance of what Saleh is saying, that Iraq has made tremendous strides, especially in removing destabilizing elements that have long hindered reform, such as the overwhelming influence of Iran-backed political factions and militia networks. For many years, Iran's interference has been cited as a major reason Iraq couldn't fully establish a sovereign, modern financial system. From currency smuggling and dual exchange rates to undermining anti-corruption campaigns and draining public finances through militias and proxy groups, Iran's grip was a financial anchor around Iraq's neck. The suggestion that Iran is now gone, whether literally or metaphorically, indicates that Iraq has reached a new stage of independence, one where it can finally shape its own economic policies without outside manipulation or internal corruption driven by foreign allegiances. This development cannot be overstated. With Iranian influence receding, Iraq's central banking system, monetary tools, and budget planning can now be designed with national, not foreign, interests in mind. This allows institutions like the Central Bank of Iraq, CBI, to implement international standards more effectively, as evidenced by their increasing compliance with anti-money laundering and counter-terror financing frameworks. It also means Iraq can begin to diversify its economy, promote foreign investment, and solidify a stable financial architecture that supports long-term growth and domestic prosperity. These elements are critical in making Iraq a financial hub, not just by geographic convenience, but by financial infrastructure and trust. Yet, Frank poses a legitimate and necessary challenge. How can Iraq claim the mantle of a regional financial center when its currency is still at 1,310 dinars to $1 US? How can the regional neighbors who operate with stronger, more stable currencies, some even valued above $3 to the dollar, see Iraq as a leader in finance when its currency reflects perceived weakness or lack of reform? This contradiction is at the heart of the debate, and it reveals a broader narrative about the meaning of financial leadership. Frank's rhetorical question, at 1310, really, is not an insult. It's a demand for clarity. It's asking the Iraqi government to align their words with measurable indicators that investors, international observers, and citizens can trust. Frank's concern, voiced from a position of experience and caution, highlights that such a title must be earned through not just words and reforms on paper, but through measurable achievements. It's not enough for Iraq to declare it as a financial center. It must show it through exchange rate stability, capital market access, and investor confidence. Right now, the 1310 exchange rate appears to contradict the narrative of a powerful and sovereign economy. But perhaps, as some speculate, that is by design. Perhaps this exchange rate is a managed figure, temporarily kept low to stimulate certain sectors, control inflation, or meet IMF benchmarks. If Iraq is in fact preparing for a currency adjustment or revaluation, the current exchange rate is simply a placeholder, a chapter before the final act. Moreover, we must consider what being a regional financial center really means. The UAE and Qatar, for instance, are financial centers not because their currencies are the strongest, but because they provide access, liquidity, trust, and legal systems conducive to investment and trade. Iraq, with its massive natural resource wealth, strategic location, and large population, could rival them if the reform momentum continues. Saleh's statement is likely a vision, not a declaration of present reality, but a declaration of what Iraq is now capable of becoming. The infrastructure is nearly there. The political will is emerging. The barriers, especially external manipulation and corruption, are being confronted. That's why this discussion is so important. It's not just about whether Iraq's dinar is worth $1,310 or $3. It's about how Iraq sees itself in the region and how the world is beginning to see Iraq, not as a post-war country stuck in conflict, but as an ascending financial power in a region hungry for leadership and stability. Saleh's message is aspirational but grounded in real achievements. Frank skepticism is necessary and keeps the government accountable to its promises. The gap between the two views represents the challenge Iraq must now address. If Iraq's leaders truly want to be the financial hub of the Middle East, they must show the world not just speeches, but results. They must continue the path of monetary reform, push for exchange rate unification, eliminate the shadow economy, and most importantly, gain the trust of their own people and the international community. A regional financial center does not emerge by accident. It is built through consistent effort, sacrifice, and transparency. So while some may scoff at the idea of Iraq being a financial hub while its exchange rate remains low, others see this moment as the calm before the storm of reform. The rate may be 1310 now, but that may not reflect Iraq's real economic value, only its transitional stage. If reforms continue, if inflation is tamed, if digital and financial systems remain stable, then that exchange rate may very well change. And when it does, the world will look back on this moment, the moment when Saleh declared Iraq ready, and realize it was not a dream, but a calculated statement rooted in a new reality. One where Iraq is no longer a follower in the global financial system, but a leader, anchored in sovereignty, prosperity, and trust. Thanks for tuning into Iraqi Dinar Update. If you found this content helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a beat on Iraq's evolving financial landscape. Stay informed, and stay ready.